believe what it says when I read. See, the scripture said it was gonna get worse. So these righteous acts I won't rehearse and keep going no matter what. I know He's covering me. Yes, I believe He's faithful. So I'll never worry, no. He won't let me fall. He's got me in His hands, and He's holding me. 'Cause I'm just a little man. I'm just a little man. And there's so much more. Without Him, now without Him, I'm nothing. Without Him, if you're out there listening and you know that everything you got is 'cause I'm Him, put your hands up right now and say thank you. You should say thank you. And let 'em know you appreciate everything He's done for you. Oh, say thank you. 'Cause He didn't have to do it, but He did. He's been faithful, yes. Every day. He won't let me fall. No, He won't. He never let me down before. Not once. Every day I need Him more. And I know that I can't do nothing without Him. I need Him for everything, yeah. And I'm nothing now without Him. All the breath I breathe, it don't belong to me. I'm nothing without Him. Oh, I'm nothing at all without Him.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook Live, good morning, good morning. Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, YouTube with Orlando keeping it simple. How you all doing today? How you all doing? I hope that you all have had a blessed week. I hope you all are doing well, you know. I hope you all are doing well. I hope that you have gotten everything that your heart desire. I hope that the Most High have blessed you over and abundantly with good, with everything your heart desire. I hope that He's doing wonderful things in your life. You know, this week has been an eventful week. Just with everything that's going on in the world, you know. There's a lot going on. And, you know, it's so much that it's a lot of anticipation. It's a lot of anticipation. It's a lot of everything. You know, just so much. Make your head spin, but make you excited that these things are happening. It make you, especially when those who understand the word, it make you excited about what's happening. But those who don't know, that makes them nervous, makes them scared. So, you know, it's a lot going on. And I'm just praying that everyone is repenting for their sins. I'm hoping that everyone is doing the things they need to do. So when the Most High brings judgment, you'll be a part of His righteousness. You'll be within His, you know, you'll be a part of the remnant, because he's bringing judgment. He really is. So we just got to understand that it's difficult for people to see judgment when they're looking at it from the physical. But if they look at it from the spiritual, they can see something totally different. But I'm going to go into that in a few minutes. Let us go ahead and turn to Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. And it reads, And El spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Els before me. Thou shalt not take unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah the El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and show mercy unto thousands of them that love me, and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any works, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuwah has blessed the Sabbath and hallowed it. Honor thy fathers and thy mothers, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservants, nor his maidservants, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Let us do the prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Amen, amen, amen. Good morning again. Facebook Live with Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, YouTube with Orlando Keeping It Simple. You know, I ask people who listen to me just go to my YouTube page and ask them to subscribe to my channel. And I'm still at the same number I've been for the last couple of weeks, and I was like, man, can y'all help me hook a brother up? You know, can y'all go subscribe to my YouTube page? But I understand. I'm not gonna ask you anymore. I don't have to beg the Most High, so I'm definitely not gonna beg you to do anything for me by just simply going on YouTube and subscribing to my channel. I'm definitely not gonna do that. But let me go ahead and get into the word today. I don't know where I'm gonna be coming from, because the simple fact Most High didn't give me a section to come out of. You know, he got me to talk about some things today, because of everything that is going on with everything that is going on in the world, you know, he got me to get you all to understand some stuff. Um, because of just life and what's happening. Because we can do some misunderstandings of what the Most High is doing. But I'm going to use this one as my title. Coming out of Psalms. The title this morning is Psalms 37 and 28. The title is the Psalms 37 and 28. For it reads, For Yahuwah loveth judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. Let me read that again. For Yahuwah loveth judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seeds of the wicked, for the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. And the word for today is, which I've used many times before, is judge. Judge is a 14th century word. It's a public officer appointed to administer the law. Also, it extended from the late 14th century to persons to decide any sort of contest. From the 1550s, one qualified to pronounce opinion. In the Jewish history, it refers to a war leader vested with temporary power. Okay? But it means one who declares the law. That's what a judge is. And the judgment is what is the actions of the judge. Okay? So, when we start to look at the book, the Bible, when we start to look at the book in the Bible, we see that the Bible is all about judgment. And it's all about judgment against the wicked or the unrighteous. We see that the Most High is judging all the people for their deeds or their actions towards Him. And we see that no deed goes unpunished. And even when we look at the first judgment, the first judgment was the judgment of the serpent. Because of what the serpent did to Adam and Eve. And it says in Genesis 3 and 14, it says, And Yahuwah said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. And upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shall thou eat all the days of thy life. So the first curse was to the serpent. The first curse was to the serpent. And then the second curse was to the woman. The second curse, or the second judgment, was to the woman. And it reads, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrows and thy conceptions. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desires shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. The judgment to the woman was to her desires be to her husband, and she would have birth pains, and she would just be for her husband and her husband only. Okay? And then in judgment to Adam, it says, unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto to the voice of thy wife. And see, everybody's being punished for their deeds that they did. No, like it says, no deeds goes unpunished. Let me find that verse for you, because I want to make sure that I get it right for you. I want to make sure I get it right for you, because I want us to understand. So okay, we can go in Jeremiah 25 and 29. It says, for lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name, and shall ye be utterly unpunished, and ye shall be unpunished. No, that ain't what I want. But I'm going to find it. But the thing about it is, no deeds go unpunished. It says, a false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall not escape. That's in Proverbs 19 and 5. Then it goes to Psalms 54 and 6. It says, I will surely sacrifice unto thee, and I will praise thy name, for it is good. But what I'm talking about is being punished for your deeds. Okay? Go back to Genesis 3 and 17. It says, and unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife. See, Adam hearkened he decided to listen to his wife, not the Most High. So because Adam decided to listen to the physical and not to the spiritual, he goes punished. He get punished. He says, and has eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herbs of the field. In the sweat of thy face shall thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it was thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. So when we start to look at judgments and things of that nature, we understand that the first judgment was done to the serpent and Eve and to Adam. So we understand that the Most High is going to bring judgment on the land for everything that everybody has done. But sometimes when we is looking at things from a physical realm, we think, oh, woe is that person for whatever they're going through, but not realizing what that person may be going through is judgment. Like, let us talk about what's going on in society today. We may be looking at the situation that's going on over in Ukraine as a bad thing because of what the media is putting on television of these refugees and how these people are having to leave their homes and go to Poland, and how these people are having to walk so many miles and do this, that, and the other. If we're looking at that from a physical realm, we're not seeing the Most High. We're not seeing what He's doing in the world today. Because if we're saying woe to these people that are leaving Ukraine and going to Poland, and we're saying, wow, that is bad that Russia is doing this, and that is bad that Russia is doing that, and we have empathy for the Ukrainians and saying what we need to do to help the Ukrainians, did we say that when the United States bombed Iraq? Or did we say, well, that's what they get? Did we say that's what Iraq get, and that's the judgment that they have? Did we say that to Syria when the United States said that Syria had put chemicals and they were spraying chemicals on their people, and so the United States went in and took over Syria and started taking their oil and started destroying their lands, and made their people become refugees? Did we say, oh man, we need to look out for the Syrians, because of what they're going through? Did we say that with Libya when they went in there and killed Gaddafi and made the people in Libya refugees and tore down their countries and made their lands desolate? Did we say, oh man, we need to go in there and help Libya because of what, so forth and so forth? Or did we look at that as judgment? Even a couple of years ago when Yemen was going through their crisis, and what Yemen was going through, and how their children was being affected, and how they was going through some problems in Yemen, did we feel bad for the people of Yemen because of what they was going through? Or did we just say, oh man, that's judgment? Turn that down a bit, please. So, when we're looking at the Ukrainians in the situation that they're going through, are we looking at it as the same as what the other nations went through? Or are we looking at it different because it's portrayed different? And if we're looking at it different than what the other nations are going through, we're not looking at it from a spiritual eye. We're not looking at it from the way the Most High wants us to see it, because we have some biases going on within that realm. Because we have to be honest. We got to make sure that we understand what the Most High is doing within all of this. Because if we don't, we're going to miss the Most High. Because our salvation comes when we understand the Most High. I'm just going to read you Jeremiah 25 and 9-29 again. It says, for lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name, and shall ye be utterly unpunished. And ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, saith Yahuwah. We have to understand that no deeds, bad deeds, go unpunished. So when we start to look at Ukraine, right, I did a little research on Ukraine. Ukraine is considered to be one of the racist countries in the Eastern Hemisphere, Eastern Europe. They still had a Nazi flag that's flying on their national flag. It was flying on that flag until 2020. They say that Ukraine holds some of the most Nazis in that area. They're considered to be some of the most racist people in that area of the country. So when we understand that Ukrainians, even when the brother George Floyd, not George Floyd, I think George Floyd, the brother George Floyd, I think that's him, who got killed up in Minnesota, where the cops put his knee on his neck for 9 seconds. But over in Ukraine, they had at their soccer games free the police officers who put their knee on George Floyd's neck. They was protesting that the police officer who went to jail for putting his knee on George Floyd's neck, they wanted that police officers to be free. They didn't necessarily want him to go to jail. They wanted him to be free because of their racist thought process. If you just look at some of the history of the Ukrainian people, it has been very wicked. It hasn't been righteous. So when we're looking at the situation that's going on over in Ukraine today, yes, Russia is painted as a wicked country, or a wicked country, but if you look at Russia and its belief system, Russia has been some of the most righteous people towards Hebrew or African people on the planet. I put out a picture on Facebook maybe 2 weeks ago where I took a snapshot of it where Putin was standing right beside a portrait of black saints behind him. He was standing right beside a black portrait of angels or the prophets back in ancient time. I even Googled when there's some black Russians that live in Russia today, and they say that they have been ensured that it's not going to be 100% nowhere, but they say that they have the best experience that they have ever had in a European countries over in Russia, compared to over here in America. But when we look at what's going on today, America is painting Russia as the enemy and Ukraine as the victim. But Ukraine wanted the police officer who killed George Floyd to go free. But the Russians wanted him to go to jail. So when we start to look at situations that's going on in the world today, are we looking at it from a judgment perspective? Are we looking at it from a viewpoint of a physical, oh woe is me? on how the media want us to look at things, or do we look at it, or how do we look at it? Because the title of my text today is, The Judgment Has Come Full Circle. The judgment has come full circle. Because we have to understand where the judgment comes from. Let me give you a little history. Okay. Syria conquered the northern tribe in 722 in Samaria. Babylon conquered the southern tribe in 597 in Jerusalem. Babylon conquered Syria in 612 in Nineveh. Persia conquered Babylon in 539. Understanding that every nation who conquered the children of Israel was conquered because of what they did to the children of Israel. Assyrians forced the northern tribe to do things that wasn't correct, and that was in Nineveh. That's in Jonah. Babylon is about the book of Daniel and what they wanted the children of Israel to do in Babylon. But Persia was used to free the children of Israel out of the Babylonian hands. But the story had to continue on to this day. But I'm going to go through three types of judgments. I'm going to go through three types of judgments, and I want us to understand something. The first judgment was done to the prophets and the priests because they disobeyed the commandments. The judgments was done first to the prophets and the priests. Okay, who the prophets and the priests? The prophets and the priests is the tribe of Judah and Israel. When they was coming out of Exodus, when they was coming out of Egypt, and Moses was giving them the law, statutes, and commandments in the wilderness. So when Most High gave them the law, statutes, and commandments, and they took the sprinkle of the blood, and they took that and they made that covenant with them, they was required to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? So let us turn to Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20, verse 23. Because it's plenty of judgments. But I'm going to three judgments now because the ones who was given the covenant had a judgment. And the ones who let me just do this. Exodus chapter 20, verse 21, 22 and 23, it says, And Yahuwah said unto Moses, Thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, Ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Ye shall not make with me gods of silver, gods of silver or ells of silver, neither shall ye make unto gods of gold. An altar of earth thou shalt make unto me, and sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings, thy peace offerings, thy sheep and thy oxen in all places where I record my name. I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. Okay. So at this point, in verse 22 and 23, the Most High was telling us, Ye shall not make with me ells of gold, and neither shall ye make unto you ells of silver. This is something that we should not have done, because the Spirit is letting us know that silver and gold is not our source. Silver and gold is not our source. It is used for a purpose, but it is not the source. Because he is telling you, the Yahuwah said unto Moses, the Spirit said unto Moses, Yahuwah said unto Moses, he's letting you know what I created for you, you should not worship, but what you should worship is me, the Spirit. When you don't worship, when you worship the money that I created, you're going to make me angry with you. It's just like when your child is being disobedient to you when you tell them not to do something. Okay, so let us go to Deuteronomy. He's telling us, don't worship gold and silver. Deuteronomy 8. Verse 18 and 19. Deuteronomy 18 and 19, it says, but thou shalt remember Yahuwah thy El, for it is he that giveth thee power. Listen to this. It says, but thou shalt remember Yahuwah thy El, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he swore unto thy fathers, as it is this day. It shall be, if thou do at all forget Yahuwah thy El, and walk after other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I will testify against you this day, that ye shall surely perish. In this text here, he's telling you, I give you the power. Let's go back. He said, for it is he. Who is he? Yahuwah. That giveth thee power to get wealth. He said, I give you the abilities. I give you the strength. I give you the skills. I give you the knowledge to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he swore unto thy fathers, as it is this day. So what the Most High is telling you is, don't go outside him to get the things that you need, because when you decide to go outside of him to get the things that you need, in the last verse 19 it says, I testify against you this day, that ye shall surely perish. So whenever you decide to go outside of the Most High to get the things that you need to get, judgment's going to come on you. Because he made the covenant with the children of Israel. He made the covenant with the children of Israel. So when he made the covenant with the children of Israel, the only source that the children of Israel need is the Most High. So he's telling us at this point, if you do these things, I'm going to bring judgment on you. I'm going to bring judgment on you. Let's also go to 1 Kings. 1 Kings 14 and 22. I'm going to jack this name up, but I'm going to try to say it best way I know how. I don't forget. I can't even pronounce the name. My energy is so much. Rehoboam. I think that's his name. I can't pronounce it right now. I got to sit down. the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which Yahuwah did choose out of all the tribes of Israel, to put his name there. His mother was named Naamah, an Ammonite. Listen to this. And Judah did evil in the sight of Yahuwah. They provoked him to jealousy with their sins which they had committed above all that their fathers have done. For they also built them high places and images and groves on every high hill under every green tree. Also, in verse 24 it says, and there were also Sodomites in the land, and they did according to the abomination of the nations which Yahuwah cast out before the children of Israel. So some of the actions that the tribe of Judah did was worse than their forefathers. So he told us in Deuteronomy that he's gonna make us perish if we do things that we shouldn't do. Because he made a covenant with us. It says in verse 22, it says, and Judah did evil in the sight of Yahuwah, and they provoked him to jealousy with their sins, which they committed above all that their fathers have done. Let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 16, 47, 48. Forgive me for messing the name up. I'll come back and tell you the name a little bit later. It says, yet hast thou not walked after their ways, nor done after their abomination, but as if that were a very little thing, thou wast corrupt more than they in all thy ways. As I live, saith Yahuwah, Sodom thy sister has not done, she nor her daughters, as thou hast done, thou and thy daughters. Behold, this was the iniquities of thy sister Sodom. Pride, full of bread, abundance, and idleness was in her. In her daughters, neither did she strengthen the hands of the poor and needy. And in this verse, it's telling us that the children of Israel did more than Sodom and Gomorrah. So when we do more than Sodom and Gomorrah, what do the Most High is going to do to us? He told us he's going to punish us. He told us he's going to bring judgment on us. So he's going to punish the priests and the prophets. How he's going to punish the priests and the prophets? Let's go to Jeremiah 27, 6 through 8. Because we have to understand that Assyria took the northern tribe after the death of Solomon. So now Babylon is going to deal with the southern tribe. Syria took the northern tribe. Babylon took the southern tribe. But let us go to 27:6. It says, now have I given all these lands into the hands of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant. And the beast of the field have I given him also to serve him. And all nations shall serve him and his sons sons until the very time of this land come. And then many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of him. And it shall come to pass that the nations and kingdoms which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith Yahuwah, with the sword and with the famine and with the pestilence, and to have consumed them by my hands. But let us go back to verse 26. Let us go back to verse 6 for a second. I want us to understand something. It says, and now have I given all these lands into the hands of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant. What did he mean by servant? The servant means a bondman, a slave. Nebuchadnezzar was considered to be like a slave, a worker for him. He was considered to be like a worker. He had to do this regardless if he wanted to or not. Nebuchadnezzar had to do what he was told to do because he was considered to be a servant, a slave, a bondman for the Most High. His job was to come and bring punishment on the children of Israel because, a judgment on the children of Israel because of their disobedience. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 5. (15 through 17). Let me go to verse 14 first. Because I want us to understand something. Sometimes when we look at people suffering, we look at that as a woe is me from the physical realm. Because we see humanity is going through some struggles and some trials and some tribulations. But how many people, other nationalities, side with us when we go through things? How many people, other nations say, well, man, let's stand up and fight with it, let's stand with the Americans because of what they're going through in America? Have you seen Indians say American, them African American, or the Hebrew people are getting shot in the streets in America? Are they siding with us as we go through our persecutions? Do you see the Japanese or the Asians or the Chinese side with us as we go through our persecutions here in America? Do you see the Australians or the Canadians or the Europeans in Europe side with us as we go through our persecutions here in America? Even in Africa, when the Sudan was going through their problems and Somalia was going through their problems, did you see anybody comfort those people when they was going through their problems, their situations? No, they just stood back and watched. So when we're looking at today's society, what should our thought process be? Are we going to look at it from a physical realm, or are we going to look at it from a spiritual realm? Because we got to understand that everybody has a day of judgment. Everybody has to go through their trials and tribulations. Everybody got to be able to come and deal with the consequences of their situations. And the Most High is going to use whoever He want to use to bring His judgment on. So that's why I'm bringing up to you when I brought up the Jeremiah 27:6. Let me read it again. Because the Most High said, and now have I given all these lands into the hands of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant. His job, Nebuchadnezzar's job, was to bring judgment on the children of Israel or the children of Judah in Jerusalem because of what they did when they was worshiping idols. Okay? So now let's go to Jeremiah 15:17. I'm going to go to 14 first. It says, wherefore thus saith Yahuwah El of hosts, because ye speak this word, behold, I will make my words in thy mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them. Lo, I will bring a nation upon you from far, O house of Israel, saith Yahuwah. It is a mighty nation. It is an ancient, a nation whose language thou knoweth not, neither understand what they say. Their cleaver is as an open sepulchre. They are almighty men, and they shall eat up thy harvest and thy bread, which thy sons and daughters shall eat. Should eat. They shall eat up thy flock and thy herds, and they shall eat up thy vines and thy fig trees, and they shall impoverish thy fenced cities, wherein thou trustest with the sword. So the Most High said, the children of Israel, because of what you did to me, I'm going to bring Nebuchadnezzar, who is a people whose language you do not know nothing about, whose language you never heard, and he's going to destroy everything that you had going on because of what you did towards me. That was our judgment. That was our judgment because of what we did to the Most High. Also, let us go to Jeremiah 51. Let us go to Jeremiah 51. Let's just go to 47 through 43, but I want us to focus on verse 49. Jeremiah 51. 45 through 53, but I'm gonna deal a little bit with 49. 45 say, my people, go ye out of the midst of her, which is Babylon, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of Yahuwah. And lest your heart faint, and ye fear the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor. And violence in the land, rulers against rulers. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven image of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Listen to that now, what the Most High just said. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven image of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Because what you say, hold on, Most High, now you use Babylon to whoop us. Now you finna whoop Babylon? Okay, verse 48, it says, then the heavens and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon. For the spoilers shall come unto her from the north, saith Yahuwah. Listen to this. Verse 49. As Babylon has caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Yea, that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still. Remember Yahuwah afar off. Let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame has covered our face, for the strangers are come into the sanctuary of Yahuwah's house. Wherefore, behold, the days come, said Yahuwah, that I will do judgment upon her graven images and through all her land, and the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon shall mount up unto heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come upon her, saith Yahuwah. Because the deeds of Babylon and what Babylon did to the children of Israel when they was held captive in Babylon, the Most High had to bring judgment on Babylon because of her misdeeds. Because she was doing some unnecessary killings that she didn't have to do. She was making them worship golden idols. She was making them worship statues and things of that nature where they should have never had to worship. So, when we're looking at it, right? In Daniel 1, Nebuchadnezzar tried to make Daniel don't eat his food. And Daniel didn't want to eat the food. Okay? That's in Daniel 1. In chapter 2 of Daniel, I'm not going to go through all that, but if you read Daniel 1, 2, and 3, the Most High was trying to show Nebuchadnezzar that you're not actually in charge. I'm in charge, but I'm allowing you to rule. But the Most High had to allow that to happen to Nebuchadnezzar because of what he did to the children of Israel when they was up under his captivity. It's like people don't think that America's going to be judged for what they did to the Hebrew people in America. What African American people or black people looking at the situation in America as, woe is me. Something bad is happening. Oh, this is happening. That is happening. This is happening. They're scared because they're looking at it from the physical realm and not a spiritual realm. But the Most High is bringing judgment on America for what the things that she did to us. Do you know that America killed over 100 million black Indians? Not even the slaves that they brought in the Atlantic slave trade. Even when they got them over here, they hung them, they burnt them. They fed them to dogs, they fed them to alligators. They made them have sex with their mothers. And you really don't think that that's where the word MF come from? They had slave plantations where they called it a breathing plantation because They was making people breed children for slaves. So we got to understand that America has done some horrific stuff to the people. And if we don't understand that the Most High is going to judge America for their misdeeds, something's wrong with that. And how the children of Israel, or the children, I just said the southern tribe of Judah was judged is through Babylon. The northern tribe was judged through Syria. The Assyrians. Now, how was Babylon judged? How was Babylon judged? Let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah 44. Isaiah 28. Isaiah 44 and 28. Because we have to understand that the Most High is going to use His creation to judge His creation until the end. It says that in Isaiah 44 and 28, it says, that saith of Cyrus, that saith of Cyrus, he is my shepherd. Let me go back to verse 26. Let me go to verse 26. It says, that confirmeth the word of my servant, and performeth the counsel of his messengers, that said to Jerusalem, thou shalt be an inhabitant, and to the city of Judah, ye shall be built, and I will raise up the decay place thereof. That said to the deep, be dry, and I will dry up thy rivers. That said of Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasures, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and the temple, thy foundation shall be laid. Now, Nebuchadnezzar was considered to be a servant, but Cyrus was considered to be a shepherd. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. It's a big difference in that, because Nebuchadnezzar was the one who was supposed to punish. And King Darius, Cyrus, was the one that's supposed to restore. When you look at the word shepherd, the word shepherd means to tend to a flock. Let me get this. Let me get my notes. It says, Persia Cyrus is my shepherd, to tend a flock, a rule, by extension to associate, a companion used as a friend. Cyrus was used as a friend. Babylon was used as an enemy. I want y'all to understand that. I just gave you a whole story about Ukraine and Russia. If you look at the Russian icons, all the icons in the Russian icons are black prophets. Russia know who we are as a people. So, when it says a shepherd is a companion used as a friend, make friendship with, Cyrus was to bring judgment on Babylon because he was a friend for the Most High. He was a friend for the Most High. See, sometimes we look at what's going on over in Russia and Ukraine, and we look at Russia as the bad guy, but in actuality, may not be the bad guy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Because what Ukraine stands for is when they said that the police officer who killed George Floyd should go free, that's an enemy to me. And my enemy's enemy is my friend. Because Ukraine enemy is my friend, which is Russia. Let us go to Isaiah 45. And 13. Let's do 12 and 13. Listen to this. Let me go to verse 11, 12, and 13. Thus saith Yahuwah, the Holy One of Israel, and his Maker, ask me of things to come concerning my sons, concerning the works of my hands. Command ye me. He said, this is what it said. I have made the earth and created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their hosts have I commanded. Listen to that again. Because sometimes we fail to realize that the Most High is command of everything that's going on. But sometimes we don't look at it from the physical. Sometimes we look at it from the physical and not the spiritual. Look at this verse again. It says, I have made the earth and created man upon it. And created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their hosts have commanded. Meaning everything that these people are doing, he commanded them to do it. Now let us go to verse 13. It says, I have raised him up in righteousness, and I have directed all his ways. He shall build my city, and he shall let go my captive. Not for price nor reward, saith Yahuwah of hosts. He's talking about King Darius. See, what we think Putin is doing something for is not really what he's doing. See, because we think that this is going to just be an isolation of Ukraine. See, it's going to spread outside the borders of Ukraine, and that's what most people are afraid of. Because if it spreads outside the borders of Ukraine, that means that everybody's going to get involved. But it's supposed to get involved because this is the valley of Jehoshaphat. So now the Most High has been pleading for his people for the last 3.5 years. He's been pleading for his people for the last 3.5 years. So now he's using Russia to deal with Babylon. He can bring judgment on Babylon. What people think going to happen is not what is going to happen. Because when you listen to people, like I was telling my wife yesterday, when you listen to people, you got to listen to their agenda. You got to listen to their viewpoint on where they're coming from where they're coming from. And when you understand where they're coming from, you can understand their point of view. Not necessarily saying you agree with it. It's just that now you understand their point of view. And when you understand their point of view, you know how to deal with them from their point of view. So when you listen to a lot of Christian viewpoints, you got to understand they still thinking about a rapture. They still thinking about it from a Christian perspective. So you understand that and you know how to deal with that. Because Christians think that they're going to get raptured and this is not going to happen and that's not going to happen. And then when you deal with listening to somebody else who's always talking about, well, they're going to have this in 2030 and they're going to have this in 2040 and they're going to have this. That goes against His law, statute, and commandment. That goes against the Most High's word. So, like I was listening to this lady yesterday, and she's talking about Bitcoin, this, you need to invest in Bitcoin, that, you need to do this with Bitcoin. And I'm saying to myself, so, if Elon Musk is going to continue to have wealth, that means that the children of Israel will never get back on top. But she was only coming from that perspective because she wanted to make money off Bitcoin. Not because she was the foundation of her thought process was from the Bible. Her thought process and her foundation was from making money off Bitcoin. So the information that she was given was from the economist saying that yes, Elon Musk is going to make a whole bunch of money and they're going to restore the economy and it's going to be a cryptocurrency coming and this and that and that and this. But at the end of her thing, at the end of her commentary, she said, well, I don't care what y'all going to do. I'm going to be in the country because I got plenty of food, ammo, guns, and everything. And I'm going to be all right. But the base of her thought process was not biblical. But she used biblical scriptures to support what she's trying to say. Which is a conflict. Either you're going to use everything or you don't use nothing at all. Don't use the word for your benefit to make your point across, to manipulate people so you can make money off of them. But that's what she was doing. Just the same as some European Christians. They're not telling you the truth. They don't want to tell you the judgment is on the land. They don't want to tell you that. Because if they did, they would shake you. Because from 2019 to now, I think we've been like at 3.5 years. Almost 3 years, right? It's been, we're like at the 3.5 year mark, and I forgot when I have to do some more calculations on it. But we're right at the 3.5 year mark. But people don't see the judgment. But the Most High's got to use Russia to do what he got to do so that he can bring judgment on the land. Let's go to Ezra chapter 1. Understand, I have raised him up in righteousness, and I will direct all his ways, and he shall build my city, and he shall go out. He will let my captive go. Listen to that. Let my captive go for the price, not for a price nor reward, saith Yahuwah a host. Ezra chapter 1. Let's go to verse 2. Because Persia conquered Babylon. Thus said Cyrus, king of Persia, Yahuwah El of heavens has given me all the kings of the earth, and he has charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Cyrus knew his job was to restore the children of Israel. But he knew that he had to conquer and bring judgment on Babylon first. He knew that he had to destroy Babylon first. Because Cyrus' job was to rebuild the temple. What am I saying? What am I saying? The judgment has come full circle. Because I want us to understand something. November 2019, the plague hit. That was 2 months after the 400-year mark. 2019, also let me say something else to you too. The Great Awakening happened in probably September 2017 for a lot of people to 2018 for a lot of people. Because from September 2017 to September 2018 is the 70 years of Jerusalem being a state. It was 70 years of the Pastor Graham being the #1 preacher for the Christian nations. They had 70 years to rule within this modern era. Their rulership is over. Billy Graham, his first sermon, official first sermon, was in 1948 or 1947. His last sermon he preached was in 2018. He preached for 70 years. And he was one of the greatest Christian preachers for the Gentile nations. Israel was established in 1948. The Great Awakening for the children of Israel was in 2018. Most people have been in this truth for the last 5 to 7, I say from 3 to 5 years. Because of the 70 years of being in captivity of Babylon. The plague hit in November 2019. Pluto came into existence a couple of days ago. Understand what Pluto means. Freedom, deliverance. So all these things are starting to happen around the same time. Because judgment has come full circle. Now it has to go back to the top where it started from. But the Most High uses judgment on every nation for everything that he needs to do, what he needs to do things for. And see, sometimes it's hard for us to understand that because we're looking at it from a physical realm and not a spiritual realm. If we never look at it from a spiritual realm and do some investigations, we can miss everything. It's called exegesis the text, or dissecting the text. So, our salvation comes when we start looking at things from the Most High viewpoint and not from our viewpoint. Not from our emotions, but from what the Most High is saying. What Most High is doing. Because look at some of the Russian icons. Russia know who we are. They know what's been going on over here. They know they know the situation. Don't think that they don't. And they believe me, Russia know why he doing what he do. So this is a spiritual fight. This is bigger than what you see. It's bigger than what you hear. This has not got nothing to do with Ukraine and the oil and the natural minerals. That's the physical. Because you got to understand that most Ukrainians are from Poland. They're just going back to where they came from. And Russia pushing them home. So I just don't want you to look at this as a woe is me situation, because your salvation comes when you look at it from a spiritual realm and not a physical realm. Me and my wife were just doing some research this morning. It's like, wow, man. Things just blow your mind when you just do research on things. It's like America is so quick to give Ukrainians $6 billion to $10 billion when they don't even want to give us a job. But we look at the Ukrainians as going through some horrific experience. What have we been through? And they gonna tell us, oh, we got to investigate or do some research on reparations. But we gotta look at it from the Most High viewpoint. Let me read you something. Let me read you something. This is your salvation. Let me read you something. This is your salvation right here. This is your salvation. I gotta close too. Listen to this. Your salvation is this. Jeremiah 30:3, it says, for lo, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will bring again the captive of my people, Israel and Judah, saith Yahuwah, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that Yahuwah spoke concerning Israel and concerning Judah. Okay, let me read another one. Okay. Let me read another one. Jeremiah 31 and 31, it says, behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. The Most High is our salvation. But what we're seeing now come to pass is the Most High's judgment on the nations who did things to us. He's judging everybody. Everybody is being judged. Everybody is being judged. Understand that nobody would go without being unpunished. Daniel 10 and 20 says, then said he, knowest thou when I come unto thee, and now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. So Persia had to be judged for what the things that they gonna do. Then he's going to allow the Grecians or the Greeks to come. And then when the Greeks come, he's going to bring the Romans. But this is over. He's using him, did all he's going to do. We're in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Right now we're seeing King Darius against Babylon. But the judgment is full circle. And I'm close with a prayer. I just hope you all see that the Most High uses who he want to use to bring judgment on who he want to bring judgment on. Sometimes we look at things from a physical realm, and we need to look at things from a spiritual realm. You know, I just ask y'all to pray for me. And ask y'all just to keep me in your prayers if you listen to me on a weekly basis. You know, just continue to pray for me and pray for yourself and prepare. Continue to prepare. And if anybody's interested in having Passover, let me know. You can put it on Facebook or message me. If y'all are interested in it, let me know, because we do Passover every year. And if you don't have nobody you do Passover with and you want to have Passover, let me know so we can make plans, so that we can receive you, and so that we can be able to create some activities. But let me pray. Abba, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we just thank you for everything that you're doing and what you have done. Abba, we just ask that you continue to let your will be done. We ask that you continue to let your judgment come upon the earth. Abba, we know that you're in control. Abba, we know that you are doing things the way you want to do them and how you want to do them. We just ask that you continue to humble us and let us see the way you want us to see, hear the way you want us to hear, and speak the way you want us to speak, Abba. We ask that you continue to protect us and guide us and lead us in the ways in which you want us to do things. And in all these things we pray. Abba, also forgive us for the sins that we have committed, knowingly and unknowingly. Forgive our children, our ancestors, for the sins that they have committed, because they did not understand the repercussions of what they did. And in all these things we pray, so let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom. And y'all have a blessed one. And just continue to prepare.